One of the things I really like about this building and about this apartment when we found it is that the building is an old building. It's built in 1921 and it's a Tudor revival. So there's lots of stone, lots of details outside. And it's also influenced by Art Deco. So when you come inside, you have nice details like arches in the building and tall ceilings. So we wanted to heighten those details, and we wanted to simplify some of the space as well, because being in an old building, I guess over time, there are different layers of design decisions that have been made.
For instance, the first thing you see when you come into the apartment is this very strong through line from front door to back window, straight down the spine of the apartment, like a bowling alley. And that pulled you in, and we really thought that was charming because you didn't find yourself at the very beginning in the middle of the main room. But we thought it would be nice to turn that pull down the spine into a little bit more of a flow into some of the other areas of the apartment. This was a gut renovation in an older apartment in a 1920s building, but it was a brand new purchase for Michael and me. So we were still in the honeymoon phase. There were no problems that we wanted to fix in the renovation. If anything, it was to bring out some of the features that we had fallen in love with to begin with.
Our past apartment did not have a designated office for both of us, so that was one of the things that we really wanted to have in this build. And one of the things I really liked about 2MO and their approach is before we even started the design process, we took a look at what we had, what we were starting with. And from the fact that we found there were metal girders underneath our floors, which created little humps here and there. We had to decode that and other details along the way. And that gave me a better sense of how the apartment and the building were built. And therefore, it informed what design choices we should be making in order to work with the building and work with the apartment rather than fighting it.
So with consultation with 2MO Studio, we decided to open up some of the side spaces. We pushed one wall by the front door in and created a small entry alcove. So you had a place to take your shoes and your coat off, think about where you were before you went into the apartment. We expanded the entry into the main room off of the hallway so that it wasn't a small door, but in essence, we opened up the entire wall of it. So it's now close to an open floor plan in the main room. One of the finishing touches for our renovation, and probably all renovations, is color, making color decisions. And Michael and I never pass up an opportunity to overthink color choices. For me, it's always about what the space is going to be used for and how the light comes through in that space, especially natural light. So our apartment posed some real opportunities. It's got a full bank of southern exposure, so we get natural light throughout the day. The plants love it, we love it, and it means that we were able to make some color choices that were not as obvious as they might have been. A kind of a subdued purple for a main room that at first glance looks flat, but when the afternoon sun comes through or the morning rain hits the windows, it just does something completely different with the shadows.
Foyer, I really wanted a bright color because as you're entering or leaving the apartment, I want a jolt of energy so that I'll be extra ready for the world. Or if the world's beat me up that day, I come back home and it's a calming, it's an energy force field, if you will. And for that reason, we went with a really interesting yellow, the Benjamin Moore Yellow Roses, which is a really bright, but still a fashionable color. Renovations are really scary, and ours was almost a total gut renovation. I say to my friends who tell me about their renovations, right, and they're just renovating the kitchen. Well, we did the exact opposite. So we liked the kitchen that actually drew us to this apartment, and it had a higher level of design than the rest of the apartment. And with an old building, you get what you get because it's not built from scratch, right? It's an obvious point, but we don't stop to think about those things. And so we did a gut renovation, except the kitchen.
Further down the main corridor, we streamlined the hallway by knocking off some of the frames and the vintage doorknobs to a line of 3 closets side by side. In fact, one of them, I think, was like a 6-inch deep spice closet, and we didn't need those. So we streamlined those. They became flush doors. We merged the interior closet space. So instead of small closets, we have one large pantry across the hallway from the kitchen, and further down we have one large wardrobe closet near the bedroom. The real turning point was when we heard from 2MO Studio that they wanted to hear what we wanted to do. Not so much the design goals, but how we wanted to work through the renovation process. All of the other people I had spoken to, contractors, architects, design build professionals, came to the project with a set process, a palette of the things they can do, and that's it. If didn't really fit with what we wanted to do, then they said they weren't really right for the project. And 2MO Studio was the exact opposite.
Having not only the design or the project management skills, but also the client skills, I think is really important.
So Michael and I cannot stop talking about the renovation process in our new old apartment to all of our friends. And some of them have asked what our advice is. And what I find myself saying is that you have to think about becoming a part of the creative and the executional process yourself. You have to decide what you want to do and what you don't want to do, and make that clear to your design team from the beginning. Make it part of your brief so that expectations are set. Because if you don't do that and you get into the renovation process and realize that it's a misfit, that's when cost overruns happen. That's when discontent and dissatisfaction happens, if not worse. If the project can't go forward because you guys are just working at odds with one another. So know what you want to do. Make sure that your design and renovation team are aligned with it. And that's the biggest piece of advice I'd give.
I think that if we were to do this again, I would definitely go with a firm that can take you from A to Z and cover any and all of the needs along the way.